My friends and I visited Botswana in 2024 and it was a trip like none other because for the first time I was overlanding and camping. Our car wasn't just a means of transportation and a game drive vehicle, which is how all of my earlier holidays in Africa have been. Our car was also our home. We pitched tents on it at bedtime. We carried our kitchen in it, utensils, stoves, cutlery and a fridge. We carried water and provisions to sustain a month in Botswana, camping out of a car. And as adventurous and raw as this was, I wish I knew a few things before I went. So this video is all about camping and what it entails and ends with a detailed demonstration of our car to help first-time campers be better prepared. If you like these kind of videos, please subscribe to my channel for more. So we landed in Botswana yesterday and we're getting our cars today. These aren't just our cars, they are our home, our tent, our kitchen and everything else for the next 21 days or so. And since this is the first time I'm camping, I'm a little bit anxious because I've never self-driven, so want to understand all the ins and outs correctly, pay good attention and ensure that I've understood all this well. Our first stop in Maun was at Bushlore, a car rental company that specializes in self-drive campers. Though it's still a car that works like any other, it is also highly customized for being in the bush for days, be it the additional battery that powers the fridge when the car is off or the additional fuel tank that stores 40 liters more fuel. It also comes with a tent, chairs, tables and portable gas, all of which have designated places. There are also a number of additional safety features and tools to keep in mind. And all of these customizations mean more knobs and settings, and overwriting some of our old habits. There's no way we'd remember all of this in one demonstration, so we recorded everything. I recommend recording every aspect of this detailed demo that lasted over an hour for us and came in handy on multiple occasions. Once we got back to our hotel, we got our cars from being road ready to game drive ready. In my opinion, this is the biggest comfort hack, but I don't think it gets spoken about enough. Think of it this way. If you were to check into a hotel for a month, would you have everything in your large suitcase and operate out of it daily? Or would you rather set them up for easy access in the available space? This is all the more tricky in a car because it doesn't have enough space. So it is all the more important in a car because it doesn't have enough space. Even more so with two photographers carrying a lot of photography equipment. So setting up the car to live in it for about a month entailed setting the GPS and loading stops that we make, setting up tents, chairs, etc. for practice, and moving all bedding into the tent area to clear out space at the back of the car, sorting food in the fridge and in other storage areas of the car to have the most frequently needed things such as coffee easily accessible. Setting up charging points in the car so that we have as many of them handy for multiple devices that need charging. Setting up bean bags, tripods and other camera supports for easy access. Once we moved most of our stuff into the car, we left behind our large suitcases at the hotel in Maun and carried only smaller bags which easily fit and could be maneuvered at the storage area in the back. Much like in India, there are animals on the road in Botswana, except the range of animals is wider here, including ostriches and on rare occasions, elephants along with usual livestock. So do keep that in mind while driving and slow down when you see donkeys on the road. They do not give way. Speed limits are clearly marked along roads. Broadly, on large highways it is 120, 60 as the highways approach towns and 30 within towns. From our experience, Maps.me was mostly accurate with speed limits. There are a number of checkpoints in Botswana along major highways. These are mostly for the prevention of the spread of foot and mouth disease. So we're not allowed to bring any meat into Botswana, which is what checkpoints close to border towns like Kasane check for. At other checkpoints, our shoes and car tires are disinfected as we pass through. Passing through these checkpoints was fairly smooth. We did not face any issues anywhere. We had paid for a version of Tracks for Africa, and that was unhelpful. It wasn't just harmless or useless, it was unhelpful. It cost us time and an entire session of photography at Kubu. There's a detailed version of this story on how we got lost and how we made it back to Kubu in this video, but I wouldn't recommend relying on Tracks for Africa while navigating outside of cities or main roads in Botswana. From our experience, Maps.me was quite good with some of the internal roads in parks too. I strongly recommend downloading an offline version of Botswana on Maps.me before getting there. There are 3 types of roads in Botswana: paved or tarmac roads, gravel and soft sand. We also noticed a mix of gravel and soft sand roads, such as the one from Maun to Kwai. Inside a park, almost all roads are soft sand roads. On paved roads, we drive at a tire pressure of 3 bar. For gravel roads, it's 2. And for soft sand roads, it's around 1.8. So every time we drive into a different type of road, we need to stop and correct the air pressure. It's also good to be mentally prepared for rough drives. That is a part of the adventure, and whether you enjoy it or not, you need to be up for it in Botswana. The challenge about soft sand roads, further amplified by mixed gravel and loose sand roads, is that you must maintain a certain speed to avoid getting stuck in sand. But since it's also hard gravel, the car is bouncing a lot. For these roads, it's really important to pack stuff at the back of your car well. We learnt it the hard way with a crate of broken eggs after one of these drives. Here are a couple of additional tips from my good friend and photographer Sumit Moge on driving through these roads.
There are a few keys to driving in thick sand, and I'll try to enumerate them for you. Number 1, you need to lower your tire pressure. Every car will have a different tire pressure that is suitable for gravel versus soft sand. This car, I think the sweet spot is somewhere around 1.8 bar. The second is the time of the day when you drive. The earlier you drive in the morning, the more the sand is compacted together, and so it's firmer and easier to drive on. And when you get to the hotter parts of the day, the sand becomes loose and it's a bit like somebody told me, driving on water. And the third thing to do to succeed when you're driving on sand is to maintain momentum. Remember, I'm not using the word speed, I'm using momentum, and we're about to hit a patch of thick sand here. Let me just drive through. There you go. So the idea is to maintain momentum. Whatever your speed is, continue going through. You will feel the drift. You may feel like you should slow down, but don't slow down inside the sand. You might as well get out of the sand and slow down and maintain that slower speed afterwards. But in the sand, just keep going. If you hit the brakes in thick sand, it's very likely that you'll get stuck. So keep those 3 things in mind. Lower your tire pressure, drive at a cooler time of the day, and when in sand, keep the momentum.
We saw firewood being sold around most camps, including remote ones like Kubu. But they are a little more expensive than what we get in the cities. So pick firewood up along the highways, wherever you can find any.
One of the most interesting aspects of Botswana for me is the trust-based system in which we buy firewood. You can see there's just a shop there, nobody at the shop, and everyone trusts everyone else. They put a price there, we pick up what we need, and we put the amount of money there, and both the money and the firewood are in the open. Whoever owns this shop or who has placed the firewood there comes later in the evening and collects the money.
Though we were in Botswana towards the end of the dry season, we had to cross the Mbudi channel multiple times a day while we were at Kwai. While this is straightforward, it takes a bit of practice and can be eventful. We lost our number plate in one of these crossings. Cars from Bushlore had clear marks on how much water we allowed to cross, and it is really important to stay under those limits because water damage and recovery is not covered in any insurance. we'd been explained this multiple times while picking our car up. So before attempting our first crossing, we waited till other experienced drivers crossed in front of us and followed their path till we were comfortable doing it ourselves.
We're in Kauai. It's our second day, and we had 2 good drives, one last afternoon and one today. And it's a good time to go through our car, which is our kitchen, our tent, our storage, and everything that we have, and will be so for the next 10 days. We've rented this from Bushlore. This is the Toyota Hilux. The specific model or the adaptation on this is the Toyota Hilux Hilux 2A. 2 standing for the number of people it can accommodate, and A standing for the fact that it's automatic. There are about 4 or 5 important aspects of this which I'll break down as follows, starting with the kitchen, the utilities, the storage space, the tent and the awning, and the interiors of the car. So this car comes with a built-in kitchen which is on the left side of the car, and it's actually a fairly elaborate as far as camping standards are concerned and functional kitchen. There are mugs, there are plates, there is also cutlery which all sort of stack up well here. This is our cutlery set, and we've also got space for some provisions. We've got some space for any condiments and so on and so forth. There's a few knives and forks, and there are a few utensils for cooking as well. There are a few more utensils for cooking which are there in the storage space, which I'll get to later. The kitchen also comes with a fridge. It looks small, but it's a reasonably well designed and a reasonably good fridge from a camping perspective, because it stores enough food for 2 people for easily 10 to 12 days. We've done 2 rounds of shopping, and that's probably all we'll do for the rest of the trip. And the fridge runs on a separate battery that doesn't drain from the main car battery. So in that sense, the fridge is on through the night, even if we had to store anything that needs to freeze. And that's really useful because it doesn't draw from the main battery, and the fridge and the other charging points in the car draw from their own batteries. One thing we don't value as much while sort of renting this car, which we now value a lot, is the amount of storage space it comes with. So there's the entire back container on the top, which is used for free storage. So it can store like 2 or maybe 3 large bags. There are a large number of these 5-liter water bottles that we're storing for us, which we need for the next 10 days. There's a bunch of other things like the chairs, like the ladder for the tent, the compressor, and so on and so forth. Basically, this is free storage space, and we're currently using only about, I'd say, 50 to 60% of it. So there's a lot more that could actually go in here. But the storage space that's really important is the one down below, which is our storage space for everything kitchen and utilities oriented. So we've got more utensils for cooking here, some more dry food here, along with some coffee and other essentials. And this is a really large storage space, as you can see, which can hold a lot of things. All the dry stuff that don't go bad can fit in here quite easily. The storage can also be accessed from this part of the car. So if there is something which we don't want to disturb in the front, I can easily pull out a water bottle, or I can pull out any of the things that are stored here. This also has car related storage, such as things we need to get out of sand, things we need to sort of, what happens if you have a flat tire, and of course the compressor that I spoke of earlier. So it's a mix of free storage space in terms of our own utilities, as well as things required to keep the car running, as well as to pull the car out of a spot if you're in one. This car also comes with a bunch of really useful utilities, which we value more and more after sort of we've camped in some fairly basic camps, like this water tap that's connected to a 60-liter water tank in the car. And we've got this isn't drinking water for us, we're carrying our own drinking water, but every time we need to wash our hands, wash some of the utensils we've cooked in, this is super handy, because in some camps, including this one, walking up to the ablutions can be a fair trek away. Like you can see the ablutions hopefully in my background, that's really far back, right? And then you consider the time of day when we eat dinner. There's hippos around, there are elephants walking around, and if we can cut short a trip to the ablution and there's a little bit of water we need, this tap is really handy. The other utilities in this include chairs, tables, and these small gas cylinders. Each car comes equipped with 2 of these gas cylinders. We've not refilled them even once in the last 12 days, 10 to 12 days. It also comes with a table like this, 1 table per car. I mean, all this is because we have 2 cars. It comes with a table like this and a pair of chairs. What I really like about the table is that it folds flat and it goes into this space. So it really doesn't take up from the free storage space there, and it sits nice and tight here. So it's really not taking up a lot of space, and it's very convenient to put here. And the table is something that we pull out only once we start camping at a camp, and it stays at the camp, and we put it back when we're leaving. The other important utility in this is the jerry cans for fuel. We've got 2 jerry cans with 20 liters of fuel in them. Add to it the fact that this is a 160 liter capacity tank. It's 2 80 liter tanks. That's the total amount of fuel we are traveling with, because when we are in Kauai, we're driving around a fair bit, and there are not too many. In fact, there aren't any fuel stations nearby. When we get to Kasane, we might get one there, but it's always good to have this buffer additional fuel. We've planned our journey in such a way that we only use the 160 liters. This is an additional in case we need it for something unplanned. So moving on to the comfort aspects of this car, it comes with an awning and a tent. A tent is what we sleep in at night, and an awning provides us shade during the middle of the day. We really don't use the awning that much unless we are in a camp which has no shade at all, like when we were in Kubu or when we were in Kama, when we actually used the awning. In Kauai, we have a nice camp with a lot of shade around, so we really don't find the necessity to pull the awning out, especially because when we need to leave for the afternoon drive, we need to put it back in. So what I really like about our tent is that it doesn't have a dust cover, or it doesn't have an additional cover which I need to unwrap every time I need to put the tent up. The other thing about it is that it's really easy to pull up and pull down, doesn't take a lot of time, and it's comfortable enough for 2 people to sleep in, with some storage space, with a light inside, the light being connected to the additional battery I mentioned earlier. So overall, this is a super comfortable tent. But the one thing we need to keep in mind is that we need to pull this up and before sleeping, and pull this down before we drive out, because we're driving through the forest in the same cars that we have. But since it doesn't take too much time at all, it's not that much of a hassle. And when you consider the days on which we're checking out of camp, we might only have a 3 or 4 hour window to spend in this forest before checking out. This helps us maximize those 3 or 4 hours, because it takes us 10 minutes to, it doesn't take such a long time, for example, to pack up camp if you're using a ground tent or a more elaborate setup. Let me just pull up the tent now and show you how easy it is, and give you a sense of how much time it takes to set up the whole tent. So as you can see, it's a reasonably large tent. 2 people fit into this quite comfortably. There's 2 sleeping bags as well, a couple of pillows, and there's some storage space. It also comes equipped with the light, which we seldom use. The best feature about this tent, if you ask me, is that you don't need to do your bed. Every morning I just wake up and pull the tent down. All of this gets nicely compressed, and the next evening it's there in the same position for me to just sleep into. On the interior of the car, it's like I said, it's meant for 2 people, and photographers can get really messy, and photographers have a lot of equipment. So the way this has been set up right now is that I'm shooting from the seat behind, and Anil shooting from the seat in front. This way it helps us park wherever there's a good sighting happening on the right side of the sighting, with all of our equipment on the left side of the seat. This board is something which I ordered from Maun. We'll speak about that separately. But essentially, think of this as a setup where there's a couple of bean bags on either side, 2 photographers working. This might be a very cramped setup for more than 2 photographers. 2 is the ideal and peak number of photographers this can hold.
An important aspect of getting a car is to get good insurance. We got the CDW1 package from Bushlore after a bit of analysis on cost benefit, and it came in handy because I bumped our car into a tree bark while driving on this road, and we had to shell out the higher end of the insurance cover. Botswana, especially the bush and gravel roads, are not the easiest places to drive, so definitely have some insurance before heading out. Apart from everything I've mentioned, It's also important to do your own research on what camps that you're headed to offer so that you can prepare for accordingly. My earlier videos from Botswana also has camp facilities. Do check these out and follow the channel for more such videos, including the next one from Botswana, which is going to be all about the adventures and some misadventures of driving along the Kwai River.